Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to our first live stream of 2021. Thank you to everyone who's already acknowledged the fact that it's my birthday. I feel so very acknowledged. And thank you to everyone who has joined me so far. As you can see, I am Constantine-less. It's very sad. He unfortunately is a little bit poorly. He does not have the dreaded virus. He just has regular man flu. So he will be lurking in the comments. And if you would like to say hello to him, I'm sure that he'll be waving momentarily. So many people saying happy birthday. Thank you. There he is. So although he won't be able to give me little quips and nudge me when I lose my train of thought, hopefully I will manage to do this solo, like the good old days back when we had lockdown and I was having to do this from home. Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you to everyone who sent absolutely lovely messages over the holidays and said Happy New Year, or, you know, thanks for the streams, really appreciated them. That was all amazing. And, you know, sometimes hearing that people appreciate it is very different to hearing that someone just likes it. So thank you to everyone who said that. Now, it's going to be a fun day. We're going to talk about January challenges. January, if the weather outside is anything to go by, generally is not a very inspirational time to take pictures, I find. So we're going to talk about inspiration. But first order of business. I do have a coffee fund going. It is there. Yes, it is there. So we have the coffee fund. If you would like to contribute to the birthday coffee fund, I will be getting a coffee straight after the live stream. I will need it after doing an hour of this on my own. So please feel free to contribute to the birthday coffee fund. And what's the other thing that I need to say? Oh, giveaway. So we're going to do an interesting giveaway. I don't know if you've seen one of these before, but this is... I'm not giving away a 24-70 f2.8, but in fact, I don't know if I can open this smartly without, because I've cut my nails off. This is a Nikon tumbler. It's going to be worth the wait once I get it open. No, can't open it. It can't be opened. Not without breaking the box. Can you open it for me? I'm going to show you that in a minute. So that is our giveaway prize. The anticipation is killing you, I'm sure. And at the end of the live stream, I will pull your name out of a bag. Thank you. There we go. So it comes in its own, it's a Nikon official product. It comes in its own lens pouch. And it is, in fact, a perfect for those coffee outings tumbler in the shape of a 24-70. I actually have one of these, and it's great. It really does look like the real article. I'm gonna cover my face and then maybe it will refocus. There we go. So it looks like the real thing, but obviously it doesn't weigh nearly as much as a 24-70. So that will be the giveaway. If you would like to win, just pop in the comments that you would like to win. Say, I would like to win, and we will pop your name into a bag and I will draw it at the end of the stream for you. One other thing before I forget and move swiftly on is the fact that we are, as you may know, nominated for a Good Service Award. Grays Westminster has been nominated once again for a Good Service Award by Amateur Photographer, and thank you to AP for that. If you would like to vote for us, the link is below. It is bit.ly or bit.ly/vote for GOW. The link is also below and on some of our videos so that you can get to the form that way. So thank you to everyone who has already voted, and thank you also if you feel like voting for us. We very much appreciate it. It ends on the 31st of January and we only just got the link through, so it's a little bit of a shorter voting time than usual. Now, I must say thank you to Ian and Eves for contributing to the coffee fund already, apparently. Oh yes, there we go. The things went in the thing. That's great. All right, so let's talk about January challenges. I know for one that January is usually a time that I take the least number of photos. Generally speaking, in the UK, the weather tends to be quite overcast and quite grey. And if I'm going to do any shooting, it will be black and white film, because then I can kind of bump up the contrast a little bit. And I kind of step a little bit out of my comfort zone and try and shoot things that are a bit different. And I thought we would talk about challenges that we can set for ourselves. Now, some of you may have watched the live stream quite a few months ago now, where Constantine and I talked about different types of inspiration that you could use in order to get yourself back into photography, particularly if you found yourself in a bit of a creative slump. One of those things was setting like a 365 project, which is taking a picture every day for 365 days. I nearly said years then. It would have been a really long time. Or the alternative would be maybe a 52 out of 52 project, where you take a picture every week, just one picture. Obviously you can take more, but 52 out of 52 is quite a nice challenge. One picture that you then perhaps post onto social media and say, look, I've taken this picture and I've kept my discipline in and I've done it once a week, every single week. The other one is, of course, a 12 out of 12, where you choose one picture to take a month, and that's the one that you share. But in the day and age of kind of posting every day and trying to keep on top of social media, and those of you that follow me know that I do try and post every day, but I don't always get to it. It's a bit of a challenge to limit yourself to one shot every month. So I thought, let's try a different challenge. Now, this one is actually one that we got inspiration from ePhotozine, which is a great source of inspiration for photography. But it is actually taking one lens and using one lens for the entire month. Now, when I say one lens, I don't mean one zoom lens, because obviously if you've got like an 18 to 200 or something, or 28 to 300, that's easy. You can use that one lens the whole time. I'm generally talking about prime lenses. So you choose one prime lens and then you use that for the entire month. Now that maybe sounds a bit bonkers. Jane actually says that 52 frames have a weekly challenge. This is a really good thing. If you involve yourself in challenges and competitions where, you know, camera clubs basically, or online clubs, host a let's do a challenge thing. If you're kind of accountable then, so you have to do it. And if you don't, you sort of feel like you've let yourself down as well as everyone else. So it's nice to get involved and have that accountability if you are going to do that. Jan's got one from Canon, or Jan, sorry, has got one from Canon. I had one from Canon too that someone bought me. I was like, what is this? This tumbler from Canon. Anyway, so yes, you would like to win. I can understand that. Now, funnily enough, someone said to me, someone asked me if Constantine was going to be here today, and I said, unfortunately, he was unwell. And they said, well, at least you don't have to worry about him throwing coffee on your laptop. So he has never lived that down. But no, it's quite true. And thank you. I'm just lots of I would like to win comments, and people liking to replace out their Canon ones as well. Oh dear, so many. So James conveniently has just gotten the 35 f2, so this might be a good challenge. Yes, and I was going to talk about different focal lengths and what you could potentially use to do this challenge. Now, those of you who have been keeping an eye on my Instagram will know that I currently have the 50mm f1.2 that is on loan for review. I will probably use this lens as the challenge for the simple reason that it's so unique and so different. Now, if I didn't have the 50mm 1.2, then that's the Z version for anyone that's interested, and is not a cheap or small bit of glass. It's at home, so I can't show it to you, but it's a chunky piece of glass. I do own personally the 55 1.2 AI, which is an older manual focus lens. And that's probably one of my favorite lenses to do something like this, where I have to spend a long period of time shooting with one lens. However, I'm much a lover of the 35mm focal length. So the nice thing about 35 is that it's a bit wider than your conventional 50, and you can fit a little bit more in. It's a bit more general purpose. You can sneak in some cheeky landscape in there and also use it for portraiture. I've often done this kind of one lens challenge with the 20mm. And I think I may have posted a set of shots a long time ago now when I went to Canterbury and just took the 20mm 1.8 with me, and all of my shots were done with the 20. And then obviously you're stuck with what you're stuck with. So I would say Eves chooses the 500 PF. Now, this is a great idea. So if you're going to do this challenge, please tell me what lens you're going to use. I'm fascinated to find out. The 500 PF is an excellent choice, Eves. For those of you that have watched our streams over the months during lockdown, I had the 500 PF, and I used that pretty solidly for a long period of time. You can do an awful lot. Dixon would like to win whatever it is we're giving away. I would like to give a shout out to Dixon for the coffee that is on its way to me, which was very, very kind. He's actually sending us just over 1 kilo of coffee beans, which we're going to grind. So that's next level. Thank you very much. And thank you to Nick for your contribution to the coffee fund. Very, very much appreciated. I am definitely going to need it. All right, so David has limited himself to the 51.8 for December. Okay, that's good. So maybe you can spread it out. Now 50, a lot of people really like 50 as a focal length. It's kind of the standard. It's what a lot of people call a nifty 50, but the reason being that it is approximately the closest, at least in Nikon terms, to the human eye's field of view. Right, so in terms of reproduction ratio or how far objects are away from the camera, that's the distance that the 50mm kind of replicates. So that's why people like the 50. I've never been a lover of the 50 focal length, which is why I ended up with a 55 1.2, and someone was lusting over that a minute ago, but I've lost the comment there. Anyway, 55 1.2 is a lovely lens. The reason that I went for the 55 1.2 AI over the 50 is a very nerdy reason. The 55 actually focuses fractionally closer than the 51.2, which is a slightly later lens. So for me, who likes to get super close to things, when people say like, oh, the closest focusing distance is 30 centimeters, that's not enough for me. I want to be like right in there. So that's why I picked the 55 1.2. But the 50 is also lovely. I promise, I will be doing some very nerdy comparisons once I get my hands on a 50 1.2 between the Z lens and the manual focus lens, because you know, why not take pictures of brick walls and see what the edge-to-edge sharpness is like and the vignetting? That's what I want to know. So I'm going to use the 51.2. I am accountable. That is the only lens I am using for this month. That's going to be quite hard, although it's a beautiful lens, and I'm not really supposed to have it for a full month, so it's going to be even harder. But it's going to make me resist the temptation to put anything else on there. Now, Brian's going to use his brand new 51.8S. That's another one I want to compare with the 51.2. I will do a whole video on the 50, on the 1.2 when I get a chance. I mean, you really have to. I don't know if Con's going to be able to stick to decaf from home. Why is Gabby refusing to carry your photographic equipment? There's a few people who said that their wives are not as good as John's wife. John's wife is very kind to carry his camera equipment. John, what lens are you going to be using for the month? Is it the 500 PF? I missed that. Well, anyway, if you want to, tell me. It was Jonathan that said he wanted a 55 1.2. Well, anyway, there we go. 60mm macro, another one of my favorites. That's an excellent choice, Thaddeus. I, as you know, use the 60mm macro. I use the 60mm more than the 105. I no longer have a 105 macro, actually. I've got a 105 manual focus 2.5. And the 60mm is versatile enough that you can probably get away with using it as a 50 if you wanted to. 35 is not only good for crop sensor cameras, I would say, Roy. I think 35 is lovely on full frame. It's actually, the only problem is that in manual focus terms, they didn't make enough variants of the 35, I would say. We had the 1.4 and the 2.8. 2.8 wasn't great, and the 1.4 is lovely, but not particularly usable at 1.4. So if you're looking at modern day lenses, the 35 1.8 on the Z cameras, very nice. Had some mediocre write-ups, but generally I've got one and I use it and I have no problem with it. 35 1.4 G on the full frame Nikon DSLR bodies. Beautiful lens, cannot complain. Some people prefer the Sigma Art 35 1.4, but I like the Nikon one for all its quirks. Then you've got the 35 1.8 G, also full frame lens. Now, just for those of you that use DX cameras, if you put a 35 on there, that is basically you using a 50mm lens. So if you are using a DX body and you want that kind of 50mm field of view, then stick a 35 on your camera. If you want to go wider, then you have to look at 24s and 20s on the DX cameras. Anyway, but I think 35 was great as a street focal length. David, Mascaro has 35D on his f6 always, which is a lovely combination. That 35 f2 definitely gets a lot of love, I would say. But definitely, if you're going to be challenging yourself and you're not able to get out and about, then maybe picking a special purpose lens would be the way to go. As a lot of you probably know, in the UK, we are currently kind of stuck to being able to leave the house for work or exercise, and otherwise we have to stay indoors. All very boring. So if you want to do something a bit different, and you are going to have to shield, or you're going to have to stay indoors, and your family are fed up of you taking pictures of them, then maybe it would be worth trying a different lens and seeing what you can do for a whole month with that. Now, Jane asks if Nikon are going to bring an updated version of the 105 2.8. So the existing VR 105 2.8 macro for the F-mount lens is probably, and I only say probably because obviously I don't have inside info, but as far as I know, it's going to be the last F-mount macro in that focal length that we'll see. I don't believe that they're going to update the F-mount version. However, Jane, there is a 105 on the Z lens lineup. So we're expecting, hopefully this year, we'll see a 105 2.8 macro for the Z mount. But I would say if you've got the D version, have a look for a secondhand VR version for the F mount, because it's a superb lens, really. Now, Tom's going for something kind of funky, a 90mm f2.5. Not seen one of those in real life. That would be great. I'd like to also what's the word? Resurrect. That's what I'm looking for. I would like to resurrect the drive folder. So if you would like to share some of your results from the drive onto our drive folder, we have our Google Drive folder where you can share your pictures. Obviously, this is a place where pretty much anyone can comment on them. So obviously don't share pictures if you don't want people to be able to see them and comment them. They don't just come to me, they come to the whole group. Alternatively, tag us, tag me, which is Rebecca_Danese, or the shop, which is at Nikon@Grays. On Instagram, for example, and then we'll see your shots, and we'd love to be able to see them and comment on them. Some of you do that already, so thank you to those of you that share your pictures with me. So Dixon's trying to use the 105 f2 on the D700. That is a lovely lens on the D700. I haven't had much success with it on higher resolution sensors, but that's a lovely lens for portraiture. This is one thing about the 105 macro that I like, is it kind of doubles up as a portrait lens as well. And I use the 105 2.5 old school AIS lens. It's actually pre-AI converted for anyone that's interested. And that is a beautiful portrait lens. But still, although it's not macro, it's not one-to-one reproduction, you can still get some nice subject isolation there. So now, Peter had a 50 on his Nikon mat. Again, nifty 50, it was like the standard lens. And then would still have it, but the camera and lens plus, oh no, plus a 28 and a 7200 was stolen. That's terrible. So need to find another lens, Peter, to do this challenge with. So yes, I think that if you're going for exercise and you can't jog, like if your form of exercise is a brisk walk, then you could probably get away with also taking your camera. Although if you're anything like me and you keep stopping every 5 seconds to take pictures, maybe it doesn't count as exercise. You have to stop and do some stretches while you were taking a picture. I went for our little allotted exercise time yesterday with my husband, and he was getting very frustrated that I kept stopping every 5 seconds to take pictures. But yeah, a month of macro, Norm, that is an excellent suggestion. If you're locked down, it would be an ideal time to try a month of macro, particularly if you haven't done macro before. Now, I don't have them here, which was a bit silly, but anyway, there is a Nikon Z extension tube set, which I've taken one to try it out with my Z kit. And I'm going to try it on several different lenses and see how it goes. But in the meantime, if you're waiting for a macro lens for the Z system to come out, then the Z extension tubes are quite useful to just do a bit of macro work. Now, this challenge isn't supposed to be with extension tubes and stuff like that, but I would say if you're using a Z system and you've decided your challenge is going to be macro, then I will let you get away with that. So if you do, well, that's one way around it. For people using obviously SLRs or film cameras, macro challenges are great. There are so many things that you can take pictures of around and about the house. And if you're lacking inspiration or you want a few tips and tricks, then during like peak lockdown, where the shop was pretty much entirely closed and I was doing streams from home in the virtual secondhand department, I did quite a lot of videos on techniques and lighting techniques at home, and literal DIY how to make a reflector out of tin foil, like that kind of stuff. So if that's interesting, then go and check those out, and it might give you just that little bit of inspiration you need. David says, jogging and carrying a camera is not something that's conducive to exercise. I don't know, depends on how heavy your camera is. Maybe you can use it as weights. Any excuse at this point, right? There we go. And yeah, an old 35 f2. Jan says he's got an old 35 f2. I really like the 35 f2. I think it's a great one. Nick, the Z extension tubes, I think we have them on our website. If you go and have a look at the online store, they are there. There's 2 in the set, and thus far they've worked with pretty much everything, although I did pop them onto the 24-50 compact lens that Nikon brought out with the Z5, and the closest focusing distance was about 0.5 centimeter. So basically doesn't work very well with wide angle lenses. There's a whole technical reason for that. But do check those out. So that is the one lens challenge, I would say. Feel free to let me know what you're going to use. John says he's going to use the 105 2.8 on the D810 instead of Z6. Now, the beauty of this challenge is that if you've got both a DSLR, F-mount DSLR, for example, and a Z camera, you can, if you've got the adapter, use the one lens on both cameras. So you're not limited to what camera you're necessarily using, but you are limited to the lens. So that should make things interesting. And if any of you have, let's say, more ideas of how you can jazz that up or whatever, put that in the comments, because I would love to read it. Yes, Jamie Tilley has spent the last year wandering a small town with just a D7000 and a nifty 50. And I would say that using a prime for whatever you want to do is actually a good way to kind of expand your horizons a little bit rather than using zooms. Now, I am going to attempt to share my screen here, if that will work. Yeah, there we go. So this is actually, I don't know why it's selling me washing machines, from John Lewis, but this is actually the article that that I took the inspiration from. So if you want to have a little look, then just type into Google, take a one lens challenge this January. You'll find it on ePhotozine. They also encourage you to share the results, but it's quite interesting to see what you can do with a prime, for example, and then they go through different shots. So that's just so you know the source, as it were, of where it came from. And I think it's a lovely challenge to do. As I say, I'm going to do the 51.2 Z. Wish me luck. With an exception that when I'm filming the review video, I will have to use other lenses. So that's that one. Now, the other let's say, challenge that you could do for January, which I think also came from an ePhotozine article, is the one color challenge. Now, this is slightly trickier because if you are going to do the one lens challenge, then you may not necessarily also want to do the one color challenge. Although if you're doing macro, then why not? Because I think it'd probably be the easiest way to do this. The idea is essentially that you pick one color, probably an easy color to find, for example, red or yellow or green, and you just fill the frame with that color. Now, that has its challenges, particularly if you choose an odd color like yellow and you don't have lots of bananas and daffodils and things around your house. But if you're shooting, for example, red is quite easy because you can pick flowers. You could pick, if you've still got some good old poinsettias left over from Christmas, if you've got any kind of food or things like that which are red, then you can absolutely, strawberries, they're not in season, but you know, we can still get them from the supermarket. They probably have about 1 billion air miles on them. But there are plenty of things in that color that you could do. Roy is saying Z extension tubes work even better with a micro lens. Well, the problem is the Z extension tubes don't work with F-mount micro lenses, and there's no Nikon Z-mount micro lens yet. But the F-mount extension tubes you could put on between the FTZ and your macro lens, and then you've got super close focusing distance. John, infrared macro on your D90. I like that. I like that idea very, very much. Oh, Kenko F-mount extension tubes. Well, you can, official mainspring, you could instead use the F-mount extension tubes, as I say, on the FTZ. So you don't have to necessarily buy the Z version unless you want to. But the extension tubes are Kenko, not Nikon. Just to clarify that, they're made by Kenko. So how many people... Oh, this is a good question, Norm. How many are DSLR and how many are using mirrorless? This is an excellent question. I think a lot of people do side by side. For example, I was D850 and Z6 for a long time. I finally bit the bullet and sold my D850, but that was mainly because I wasn't using it and because all of the jobs and events and weddings that I was using my D850 for have all been cancelled for the foreseeable future. So I've just gone I've gone whole hog Z6. And if I need a DSLR later on down the line, I've got a good friend called Konstantin Kochkin who has a D850 that I can borrow, at least for a little while anyway. Thank you very much for your birthday wishes, Adam. And thank you, Adrian, for your contribution to the Birthday Coffee Fund. I am going to be filled with caffeine later and I am so looking forward to it. Not sleeping tonight. So now, yes. What Norm said about the extension tubes and the adapters, if you use those or if you want them. And some people don't like the Z camera. So I think if you are going to go Z, then do allow yourself a trial period. You know, buy a secondhand one so that you can return it. For example, the shop ones, we give 14 days to return it if you're not happy with it for any reason. Obviously, depending on if you collect it or if we ship it, that can be extended a little bit. But trying it before you go whole hog into Z system is definitely the way to go. And that's what I did. And I just found more and more that I was using the Z system over my D850. And my D850 wasn't seeing that much love. I'm sorry, Sam. I know. Don't take it personally. It's literally only because it was gonna sit there and I didn't want it to sit there. It needed to go to a new home. In fact, probably I think someone who's watching this bought my D850, but I can't remember who it was. Thank you very much, Paul. So what was I talking about? I was talking about the one color challenge and I got completely distracted. Oh yeah. So the one color challenge, this is why I need Constantine. Con, I need you to remind me of what I was talking about. So if you're going to do the one color challenge, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it doing it with one lens. I certainly would struggle with that. But if you are feeling super sort of wanting to challenge yourself and ambitious and go for it if you are, then you could do the one color challenge with the one lens challenge. Now, the one color challenge would mean that you fill the frame with the one color. And this is where composition becomes very important, because if you were to, for example, take lots of very boring pictures of a flat color, then it's not going to be interesting. There's a great guy on YouTube that talks about, oh, I can't remember his name, how annoying. Anyway, he talks about one of the things that really leads you into the picture and that makes it, the kind of the rules of composition. Steve something, he's English. That's really helpful, isn't it? I'll find it. And he talks about how no matter what rule you use, whether it's rule of thirds or the golden rule or, leading lines or symmetry, the thing that tells you whether or not a picture is worth looking at is how long the viewer wants to look at the picture for, right? So this is why the golden rule sometimes works, is because it leads the attention into that focal point, that main point of the subject of the picture. Whereas, for example, the rule of thirds, you get your intersecting lines. Now, I did an entire live stream on the subject of composition back in lockdown, but it's one, I'd say it was quite a good live stream, if I say so myself. And so if you do want to have a little look at that and just see the differences between all those different rules and how you can apply them, and also how you can break those rules, obviously, because that's what we do. We make rules and then we break them as photographers and artists and creators in general. Then go and check that out. It is an hour-long live stream roughly, but you can probably skip the blah blah bits where I sort of talk about nothing in particular. So when you're doing a one color challenge, composition is vital because you don't want a boring single color. And this is one of the things that I quite like about black and white photography. Obviously, in theory, black and white photography is not a one color challenge, but you could just adjust that challenge slightly to just shoot black and white for the month of January, for example. If you're a film shooter, then perhaps just just shoot black and white film for the month of Jan. Thanks very much, Con, for the words of encouragement. Really appreciate it. Now, I take it that using a vintage non-Nikon Prime on a Z7 will be considered heretical. I will let it go because it's quite a difficult challenge. It's fine. As long as it's a lens that you actually want to use and you do genuinely use it for the month, I'm okay with it. I like that, Baxter. Extend the one color challenge to include your color theory, complementary colors, etc. So, for example, you could do contrasting colors or complementary colors and have a 2-color challenge. This is the thing, when you look at, for example, I always go back to an Instagram feed because that they have been designed in a way that is aesthetically pleasing to viewers, right? So you get these squares, like 9 squares, and if they're all in the same color or they all have some kind of a constant theme, then they become very satisfying to look at, even if the individual pictures themselves are not amazing. If they work together as a whole, then you still get that kind of emotional response when you look at the pictures. So you could, for example, spend the first, okay, we've kind of gone through the first week of January, but we could spend the first chunk taking loads of pictures in red, and you could post, let's say, 9 of those or 7 of those or 6 probably for an Instagram feed. And then the next week you could pick another color and then another color. But if you've got this constant theme of colors, when at the end you put together your mood board or your Instagram feed or whatever, or your photo book or whatever it is that you want to do with these pictures, even if it's just a Facebook post or popping it onto our drive folder so that we can see it as some kind of collage, I think that by having that consistency of color, you'll find that actually it works really well to have that consistency. Now, thank you very much to Adam for your contribution to the coffee fund. Woo! And to Brian, thank you very much as well. It is coffee and cakes all round later on after the stream for sure. So I was going to read another comment here. Roy says he wouldn't like the Z6, but he did, so that's good. What are the chances that Nikon will issue an F to Z adapter with an autofocus engine on screwdriver connection so we can use older autofocus lenses? I like this question. The chances are quite slim, but a girl can dream, right? I mean, I definitely want it to happen. I think it would be wonderful if we had that AFD lens compatibility with the FTZ. But the chances are so small. I don't think that that's their point of concentration. This year, from what we understand, we're going to get, I think it's 5 Z lenses, 2 DSLRs. Can't anyone's guess what those will be, and at least 1 or 2, possibly more Z bodies. So let's see. Let's see what happens. But, you know, it's on the wish list, the FTZ Mark II with the screw drive capability, but I would love it if they did that. Now, interesting, your comments on the autofocus, the eye recognition autofocus thingy. I wish Constantine were here to comment on that. Con, can you comment on that for me, please? This is great, Norm. So when we judge photo contests, the guidelines are, do you wish you had taken a shot like that? How long do you look at the photo? Would you cross the street to see the photo again? That's fantastic, actually. And that's probably a really nice guideline for any of us when we take a picture. I have a whole batch of pictures that I've never posted, that have never seen the light of day. They just sit in my archive. And sometimes I actually revisit them years later. Like I was revisiting my trip to Venice a couple of years ago and having a look at all the shots that I took then. And obviously there's the kind of generic touristy shots of like, oh, there's water, yay. But actually the shots that I found most interesting were the ones that you really had to study, where there were lots of different details. There was a pigeon here and an interesting, you know, window casement, and then a clock, and then a sign, and then and it's exactly as Norm says. How long would you look at the picture for? Does the person or the other person wish that they had taken that picture or something like it? And would the person then cross the street to have a look at it? Those are fantastic principles. I think that I need to encapsulate that into a stream all on its own. Yes, unfortunately, the Z6 II, as Eves keeps mentioning, is stuck at the border. I'm going to talk about that momentarily, but not yet. We're going to stick to the challenge thing. So Sharif suggests, how about using multiple lenses of the same focal length for a month? So this is good if you don't have a prime, and if you have a zoom and you're not about to buy a prime lens, that's totally fine. Then yes, you could potentially say, I'm going to use these 3 lenses. They all cover 70mm or something like that, and then use those. That I think would count, certainly. But the idea is to make sure you're choosing one focal length. Obviously, if you've got a prime, it's much easier. Dixon points out, like the Spielberg Schindler's List challenge, single color on black and white. Now, selective color is actually a feature that appears in a lot of Nikon cameras, and you can set it up before you even take the picture. The little D3000, 5000 series, and I believe the 7000 series all have that in their special effects mode. Any camera that has effects has selective color. So you don't even have to do it after the fact in post-processing. You can do it in camera while you're shooting, which is quite fun. It's a bit tricky to set up, but it's great. Thank you, Per, for your well wishes, and Peter, thank you very, very much. I feel very acknowledged. It's nice. It's good to be here on my birthday. Much better than sitting at home. So yeah, I think that a monochrome challenge is very nice. Obviously, for a lot of you that shoot monochrome, maybe generally as a rule, maybe pick the one color challenge instead. But if you are generally a color shooter, like I, for example, shoot color film far more than I ever shoot black and white film. And my first roll of film this year was a black and white roll. So, you know, maybe I'll keep that up for film cameras. And I think if you do shoot both, then maybe for film, you pick one challenge, and then for digital, you pick another. I'd be okay with that. I think that would be fine. Yeah, so Roy wants the F to Z FTZ with the D screw drive. We're going to have to give it a name. We want an FTZ Mark II. Let's put it that way. And Colin wants the 100 to 400. Yeah, the 100 to 400 is one that I'm definitely hoping comes out this year. That's the number of people that we have on the list for the macro, and the 100 to 400 is shocking. So Nikon, if you're listening, there's a little advice for you. That's what the people want. Let's give them what they want. Now on the D850 Mark II, I've also heard this rumor. D880 is what's being sort of spouted around and about the place. It's possible that there will be another D850, although what they're going to do with it, I've no idea. I mean, the D850, as far as I'm concerned, is the best SLR that they have ever made. So let's see what happens. Sharif has multiple primes and 4 105s. Wow, 4 105s. That's a lot of 105s. But yeah, great focal lengths to choose if you want to choose that for your one shot, your one lens challenge. Now, yeah, see, now on the 80 to 400, I've used the 80 to 400 with great success for bird photography. So some people don't love it. I think that there might have been a bit of sample variation, particularly at the beginning, but that's the case with quite a few lenses, like the 200 to 500 had a little bit of sample variation early on in its days of being out there. And, you know, that happens a lot. But the 80 to 400 generally, particularly if you're not using it on super high resolution sensors, I think works very well. I did a shoot at a bird sanctuary a couple of years ago with the 80 to 400 on the D750, and I actually had almost no shots to throw away because they were all in focus and all sharp, and I was like, oh no, I have so many photos now. I'm used to just being able to chuck a whole bunch of them away as wasters. You made it, David. Well done. Thank you for being here. Now, someone was commenting to someone else's thing, which I missed, unfortunately, but there's a whole discussion and debate going on there. I'm going to leave that alone. So the one lens challenge and the one color challenge, let me know what you think. If you've got any other ideas of challenges that you want to, or even, let's say, photographic resolutions. I certainly want to personally stick with one lens, but also want to attempt to do, at least for a period of time, the one color challenge. But I think I'm going to go black and white on film, and then 51.2 Z on the Z camera. It also gives me a great excuse to just use it a lot because I need to do that. Now, I just need to, yes, so we got the other thing that you can do with the one color stream, and I am going to show you. Here we go. Sorry, I don't have my shortcuts set up now. So this is also from ePhotozine. This is the one color challenge article. And they actually suggest, if I move it out of the way so that you can see it, there we go, some themes that you can choose. Obviously much easier if you've got access to fruit and flowers and things like that. But even, for example, with red, you could pick phone boxes in the UK, certainly, they're red. Post boxes are also red in the UK, which is handy. Tomatoes, red peppers, poppies, and as I said, poinsettias, if you've got any left over from Christmas that are still flowering in red. And then we've got yellow, we've got melons, bananas, daffodils, buttercups. A lot of that stuff isn't out and about yet. In fact, it's far too cold for, certainly far too cold for buttercups. But you could find some yellow theme. I think yellow is probably going to be the most challenging for people. And then green, I reckon, is mostly easy, except, again, at the moment, tonality wise, we've got lots of very dull greens because everything is grey and overcast. They mention also that composition is key. So composition, the other thing that you can look at is, for example, shooting abstract. If you're going to shoot abstract, then composition is very, very important, because there's a fine line between taking abstract and it looking a little bit messy and actually having a focal point to the picture. So composition is definitely key. Now, you could, for example, choose your theme and then spend a day or a week or the entire month on it. Let's say you wanted to do something on greys. Now, greys is nice and easy because it's very grey in the UK, but you could go out to, if you can do your exercise time, you could go out to an area where there are lots of greys. For example, in the city, we've got urban cityscapes. There's lots of kind of greys and stuff here. Or if you live near the coast and you've got the beach and the shingle and it's all kind of grey, or you've got driftwood or anything like that, you could work with that. Now, if you are going to shoot, let me just switch back over to me, so smooth. If you are going to shoot film, for example, then I would suggest, particularly if you're going to do black and white, then I would suggest using colored filters to increase contrast or to play with different effects. The most kind of highest contrast filter that you can use for black and white film is a red filter. Now, if you are shooting digital, you can also apply those filters. I don't know if you've noticed in the Z cameras, but there are some pretty funky looking picture controls that are all preset in there. Now, you can do that in DSLRs as well, and you can customize your presets. So, for example, if you are, I'm going to talk about RAW in a moment, but if you are shooting JPEG, then you can, in camera, adjust your picture controls, and you could make one literally just for the January challenge where you increase your contrast or you apply a digital filter, as it were. I did a stream, I'm sorry, I'm referring back to my own live streams because it's easy to do it that way. But I did do a live stream on the subject of filters, both for film and digital. If that's helpful, then go and check that out. If you are shooting film, particularly black and white, there are so many different colored filters that are at your disposal. Sam, I like that idea where you stick with one challenge per month. Focal length for January, one color for February. I'm giving you the option of either or, but if you want to do that over a period of a couple of months, I mean, I'm hoping that there is an end in sight and that we will be able to do some other photography before too long. But it's true, it looks like we might need to go into February, so in which case give yourself that challenge. One color challenge in Michigan during winter is usually white snow on white snow for outdoor shooting. I like that, David. I like that very much. We get grey a lot here, and although it doesn't rain that much, not as much as people think, it doesn't rain as much as people think in London. It's very overcast, and looking out the window, as I can see right now, it's so grey. Yesterday was one of those typical beautiful blue sky winter's days where we had the golden hour and everything, and I thought, wow, this is going to be great and so inspiring. And then today it's grey, so never mind. What was that? What? Oh, yes, sorry, I said I was going to mention something. Okay, very important update for you. I'm going to let you guys comment on your different ideas and then I'll recap with those in a minute. But we wanted to do this on our Nikon report on Monday, but of course, because Con is poorly, we can't do that. So I'm going to just give you a mini live stream update as it was. So obviously in the UK we have this thing called Brexit. And because of that, it means that our stock is currently sitting somewhere between the border. Nikon stock always comes through the Netherlands to the rest of Europe and the UK. So at the moment, it's stuck somewhere between the Netherlands and us. Something to do with borders. We're waiting. Obviously, we don't know what the issue is, and we're still trying to find out. But there is a lot of stock that is on the promotional offers. Now, if you've not seen our website, you probably haven't noticed, but we've got a Nikon special that runs until the 10th of January. 10th of January is Sunday, so it doesn't give us much time now. We've been trying to at least update our website to show what's coming from the Netherlands so that you can still order stuff on the promotion. So, for example, if you wanted to order a D780 is one of the things that's on promotion. We don't physically have them in the shop. They are sitting in the Netherlands waiting to come to us, but Nikon have already allocated them to us. So it means that you can order it, and basically as soon as it arrives with us, we'll send it straight out to you. That's, it's on a ferry somewhere. I don't know where it is, but we're waiting for them to clear some kind of customs, or to see what the guys at the borders think of the equipment. I don't know, it's about 2 metric tons of equipment, so that's what we're waiting for. So if you were thinking of taking advantage of the 10th of January offers and getting yourself something that is on that discount, then do check on our website or drop us an email or a message or any of those things, so that we can tell you whether or not we'll be able to get one that we can honor those discounted prices with. It's quite important, because obviously we don't know when the next promotion period will be, but that at least helps some of you, I hope. And Eves, that explains where your Z6 II is. That is the full latest, and as soon as I have more information for anybody who has ordered stuff from us over the Christmas period that is waiting, obviously I will let you know as soon as these things are released and we have them in stock and we're sending them out to you. Now, just to go back to the comments, let's see. So we've got the let's see, mud color. No, I don't like that. I mean, if you can find some exciting things and do some amazing composition with it, then yeah, maybe that would work, John. XP2 is a great film for this time of year, such wide latitude. That's very true, Jonathan. So depending on where you live and whether or not you're shooting film, if you shoot XP2, you've got quite a lot of latitude. That really helps. Also, check out my other live stream on the subject of pushing and pulling film. So if you don't have the film that you want, the film stock that you want in your fridge, then maybe you want to push or pull the film to basically compensate for that. You get some very interesting results when you do that. So that's also another live stream. There's just a wealth of information on the channel. Baxter points out, yes. So if you're using color filters on black and white film, be sure to check the data sheet for the sensitivity of the film and wavelength drop-offs, because there's quite often filters do affect the way that the film is exposed. So it's definitely worth having a look at that. Would you still use red on street people? Well, so here we have plenty of red things for street photography. We've got, as I said, telephone boxes, post boxes, plenty of red cars out and about, but perhaps not so much in other countries. They're probably different colors. So maybe pick one that's appropriate for you. Now, I don't know. Coleman Creations, do we have a plan on listing any SPs? Possibly. I will have to have a look. In fact, I think you might have emailed the shop. If you have, then your email is with my secondhand in charge downstairs. So he's going to go and check it out for you. I don't know if it's the French's fault, Baxter. I don't know whose fault it was. It might well be. I don't know which border they're stuck at. I've got a very vague idea that they're stuck somewhere between here and the Netherlands, but it certainly could be. Now, Lee asks, can someone recommend 2 good value for money prime lenses for a D610? So landscape and a 50mm. This is a fantastic question. I personally am a full supporter of the 20mm as a landscape and architectural and interior lens for a D610. Don't know if that's wide enough for you, but I would definitely say that the 20 or 24 potentially is good to look at. If you've got now a 50mm makes sense. The 50 1.8D is the cheapest, I would say, 50mm that's available on the market. Super cheap and cheerful. You can buy them very inexpensively secondhand as well, and is also still a very good little nifty 50 if you don't want to go for the G version. If you can go for the G version, which is a little bit more expensive, it's about 179, something like that, then all the better, because optically it is better. Well, I'm very glad that this stream is bright and the right white balance and the sound is in sync. It's because it's a very simple setup. It's almost as simple as when I was doing it from home, except without the green screen. Yeah, simple works. Exactly. As soon as we plug in a second microphone and add an extra person, it all goes slightly wonky. So, Roy, actually, here's the thing. If you are in the EU, then you don't pay VAT now. So if you are ordering from us, then all of our prices on our website, if you're logged into your account and you've got your address details logged with your online account with us, then it will show you the ex-VAT prices. So you don't pay VAT if you're overseas. Yay! The downside is that you will unfortunately have to pay import duties when it arrives with you. And we don't currently know from country to country what the import duties are, because it's entirely up to your country's customs. I have, for example, someone who bought something from me on the sort of like, well, we shipped it out on the 4th of January. It arrived, no problems, no import duties to Ireland. Whereas someone else ordered something to Sweden and they had to pay an awful lot of import duties, which was expected, but was sad. We were kind of hoping that they would just let that slide. They didn't. Anyway, so there we go. Red goes well on black and white skin tones. Yes, Roy. So if you are shooting black and white and you're shooting people, then a red filter is fantastic because it gets rid of all the blemishes and makes everything look super smooth and creamy, but very high contrast. So I don't have a spare camera because obviously I'm not in the second-hand department, but if I'd been more prepared, then I would show you this. If you go to the picture controls, set picture controls option on your digital body, then you can actually, in the monochrome setting, set your colored filters. So you can set a red filter. And the beauty of doing this with a digital camera is that obviously you can see what you get and you can see the differences between all the different filters, rather than with film where who knows what's going to happen until you get it back, or until you develop it yourself. So I am wondering if I've done a stream on that. I'm not entirely sure if I have. I have talked about picture controls quite a lot, but I don't know if I've done one dedicated to that. So maybe that's an idea for the future. If someone's seen me do a live stream on that, please remind me, because I've forgotten. We've done a few. So D lenses don't upgrade to the Z cameras very well. Yeah, I mean, it's true, manual focus. But apart from that, if you don't mind manual focusing, then actually focus peaking is an absolute godsend. So it's very, very handy. So how about a quick cameo appearance from my assistant? Yes, we should do that. She will be. You can come and say hello. Come on, come and say hello. We did actually put her on camera for the Christmas live stream, but see, she's all like hooked up on everything. So there you go. You can say hello to the group. My lovely assistant. My mum was actually saying you should have done the live stream with me. And I was like, yes, because Foteini has so much to say on the subject.
So much.
You have to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. That's the problem. So this is Foteini. This is my wonderful producer, and is always here. Yes. So you can say hello. It will take a while.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me.
And apart from that, there's a lot of people talking about film combinations, of which I'm not gonna get into. I don't actually have a preference of black and white film. I know you don't. Do you have a preference of black and white film?
No.
But color film, you know me. It's Kodak Portra 400 or 160, depending on how I feel. John and Eves and everyone are saying hello, so you're gonna have to have a little look at the comments now. There we go. Sure. That's okay. It's all under control. Yes, we will perhaps do a picture control stream next week, depending on whether Constantine... You're like, hi, Mum.
No, I'm saying hello to Terry.
Hello, Terry.
Hi.
There we go. You're so popular, so you should
I
have
know. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you.
There we go. Well, there we go. So... next week, I don't know what the topic will be, but some of you were saying perhaps picture controls is the way to go. What is this?
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness.
Surprise visit.
Surprise!
You need to open it.
Do I need to open it
Yeah, good.
on camera? Well, thank you. If anyone's wondering, we're all in the same bubble. Just so you know. I was wondering. Someone was getting very, very upset with that. I've never had to open a birthday present live on a stream. It's so loud. The new A-team. The new A-team, exactly. Someone says, hello, Mrs. Producer. This is very well wrapped up, whatever it is. No pressure. So it's tin-like. Oop! This is the new unboxing video for our channel. Con says, hello, Gray. Oh, it makes a noise. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so cute.
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
Yep.
Is that right? I have to turn it this way. Oh, that's beautiful. Yay, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm gonna it's full of biscuits for anyone that's wondering. Fortnum and Mason biscuits, no less. So thank you very much. That's lovely. Thank you. Well, I shall be having these with a cup of coffee, courtesy of the Coffee Fund, shortly. Thank you to everybody who has given your ideas and your contributions to today's stream. I am now going to draw the winning name from the hat. I'll put that there. Try not to make it go off again. It's still going. Okay, so let me just make sure that you can see what I can see. Okay, so we have, it is Stephen Fletcher. Yeah, there we go. Well done, Stephen. You get the lovely 24 to 70 tumbler. We will get that sent to you if you send your details over to media@grazerwestminster.co.uk. We will send that out for you shortly and it will be in the post. So very, very well done. Yes, I am a lovely Capricorn, and the Capricorniest Capricorn I know, believe it or not. Anyway, there we go. So thank you very much, everybody, for your contributions today, for both your Coffee Fund contributions and for your wonderful acknowledgements. It has really made my day. And we will be back next week with or without Constantine, depending on how he's feeling. And Foteini will be here. And we will be doing another live stream. The topic is anyone's guess. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend, and as I say, thank you very much for joining me. We will see you very soon. Bye.